Hey gamers, it's John, host of Video Games in the World. Welcome to the first episode of the Season 2 of this web series. It's been a while since I've been working with news, talks, and playthroughs on this channel, and also planning new stuff for this web series such as histories of franchises, consoles, and even theorizing many things in video games. Hey, they're still debunking myths and many more, ladies and gentlemen. So today's episode is about wondering who really are the bad guys in the Killzone franchise. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. So what do we know about the Killzone franchise? Well, Killzone is a first-person shooter about the conflict between the Vectans and the Helghast. The Helghast are led by Scholar Visari, who is the Autarch of Helghan, kind of like the Führer himself, Adolf Hitler, and the Helghast are like space Nazis or something like that due to their ideologies, which are similar to that of the Nazis. So, why are the Helghast like Nazis? Well, because of their ideology, propaganda, and the symbol of their nation as well. It's not a swastika, but their flag is red, white, and black. Kind of like Nazi Germany's flag, except without the swastika or the SS symbol, of course. The SS means Schutzstaffel, which is the secret police of Nazi Germany. Players in the main series and spin-offs play as a main protagonist campaign, and in multiplayer they play as either a soldier of the ISA or one of the Helghast. But in Killzone Mercenary, they play as a mercenary who can work for both sides. The Helghast are also known for their militant black attire and harsh angular gas masks housing eerie, glowing red eyes and distorted sounding voices. Their cultural history is fascinating, steeped as is in betrayal, anger, and fierce racial pride. We have played the Killzone trilogy on the PS3, as well as Mercenary, Liberation, and Shadowfall. The war in the series is like an intergalactic World War II, since, of course, it was the greatest conflict that the world has ever known. However, in Shadowfall there is a Cold War, which could have been an open war. And many would say that due to their fanatical and militant views, they are the bad guys. But are they really the bad guys? If so, then why do they do what they do? Let's find out. Long ago, before the conflict between the Vectans and the Helghast, the planet of Vecta was once owned by the Helghan Corporation. The continued success of the company made the ruling body of Earth, the UCN, paranoid. It began to impose regulations and taxes in an effort to undermine the economic influence of Helghan for no other reason than to protect itself from a perceived threat. However, when Helghan stuck to its guns and declared itself independent, the UCN attacked, trying to drive the corporation away from its resource-rich planets. Long story short, the UCN eventually succeeded in taking over the planet during the first extrasolar war, in which the Helghan colonists were forced to leave their original home planet and move to the planet called Helghan, where harsh conditions awaited them and many of them died on arrival due to the harsh environment of the planet. However, by the year 2305, future generations had evolved in an increased biological resistance to the harsh atmospheric conditions, some even discarding the common breathing masks that many colonists still relied upon. The Helghast over time became so angry, bitter, and hateful towards the ISA that they dreamt of the day they would reclaim what was taken from them. Years later, due to incredibly unfair trade rates enforced by the ISA, Helghan was hit by a major economic depression, leading to widespread poverty and famine across the planet. This allowed Scholar Visari to stage a successful popular coup against the ruling Helghan administration in 2347 and declared himself the Autarch. Once he became the Autarch of Helghan, Visari created his own brand of Helghast culture based on superiority. He immediately instigated Helghan into a secretive militant state, much like Nazi Germany, instigating a complete media takeover on Helghan. He re-established hostilities with the ISA in his bid to conquer Vecta and exact revenge on the UCN, and this conflict became known as the Second Extrasolar War. In the first game, the Helghast invade Vecta. However, thanks to the efforts of soldiers like Jan Templar, Rico Velasquez, Gregor Haka, a half-human, half-Helghast, and Shadow Marshal Luger, the Helghasts have failed in conquering Vecta. Haka, however, was accepted by Templar and Luger, but Rico was not very accepting since he was very hateful and racist towards Helghast, even if they were mixed. Then the ISA attempts to invade Helghan, and the conflict is extremely disastrous as many lives were lost on both sides due to the nuclear destruction of the capital city of Pyrrhus. Rico and Shevchenko enter the throne room after fighting their way against Helghast troops and Colonel Radek to confront and arrest Visari. Visari then gives a speech on what happens if he's captured or killed. The conflict will escalate to larger heights and become worse and worse. And in an act of rage, Rico then shoots Visari, and his last words are,
"Madness begins."
With Visari dead, there was a power struggle within the government. It was between Johann Stahl of Star Arms Tech and Admiral Orlok, and both seemed to have mutual dislike towards one another. The battle was then getting worse and worse, and then the Terracide happened. According to the intro of Shadowfall, after the Terracide, the Vectans and the Helghast came to an uneasy truce in which one half of the planet of Vecta was given to the Helghast, and many Vectans were forced to leave from their homes. In Shadowfall, it was up to a Shadow Marshal called Lucas Kellen and the daughter of Visari, Maya, also known as Echo, to prevent a conflict. Echo was so eager to prevent another tragic war between the two races and believed that Kellen should think for himself and not be like a mindless robot who loves war and hates the Helghast. Thomas Sinclair, mentor of Kellen, was also known for his hatred of Helghast and was willing to wipe them out at all costs, including innocents as well. But then Kellen thought for himself and joined with Maya to prevent another conflict caused by an alien Johann Stahl and the Black Hand leader Vladko Terran. What Guerrilla Games is trying to show in Shadowfall, and as well as a franchise, is that people are consumed by their own greed, that they want to take something away from someone and what doesn't belong to them. And it can also mean that some people and organizations feel that something or someone else is stealing their thunder and are willing to go to extremes to take them down. So in my honest opinion, the real bad guys are the ISA and the UCN for what they did to the Helghast. Because Vecta originally belonged to the Helghan until it was stolen from them. It kind of mimics history in a certain way, how lands were taken away from the natives by the colonists, and so on. As you can see, Sinclair, at the end of Shadowfall during his speech, he told the people that they were there first, and the Helghast later came. But that is not true. The planet of Vecta belonged to Helghan, and the UCN were the ones who stole it from them. What it also teaches is that people tend to try and rewrite history in their own image. And the thing is, no matter how much you try, you cannot change the past nor history. Guerrilla Games did an amazing job in creating an awesome game series with a great story. I believe that the Helghast are the real good guys because they are people who is trying to take back what is rightfully theirs. Killzone also in a way reminded me of Starship Troopers, awesome movie by the way, when I first played it. Much like the Federation in Starship Troopers, the ISA has this mentality that those against them are the bad guys and that they love this war. The Starship Troopers movie is a satire of the pro-military book by Robert A. Heinlein, and similarly, the soldiers of the Federation love war and has this testosterone-driven kill-em-all mentality. Visari's speech also shown that no matter how bad villains are, one way or another, they make valid and truthful points. Kind of like Delita in Final Fantasy Tactics, who, after the death of his sister, He was vowing to never be manipulated by those in power, and also eliminate those responsible for the conflict of the War of Lions, such as Princess Largan Goltana. He was more of a deuteragonist or a tragic villain rather than this I'm taking over the world kind of bad guy. He was willing to overthrow the corrupt system that abandoned the commoners. In a self-driven crusade against the nobility, Delita pursues the throne via forming numerous allegiances with different factions and people, all the while intent on double-crossing them all. Despite using false allegiances and conspiracies to deceive his contemporaries, Delita is not really a bad guy, as he is willing to spare the lives of some people who get caught up in his schemes, and he is planning to rule evilies in a just manner. Kind of like Griffith in Berserk, who plans to have his own kingdom. But because he is a commoner, the nobles try to kill him, but he turns the tables on them. Shortly before the eclipse, of course. So finally, in conclusion, what can I say? I still believe that no matter how ruthless the actions of the Helghast are, as seen in the games, and no matter how much the players kill them in the series, they're still the good guys trying to take back what is rightfully theirs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the first episode of Season 2 of Video Games in the World. If you have an opinion about this, then comment, share, subscribe, and go for it. This is John, host of Video Games in the World. Have a good one. Bye-bye.